What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 22 of the Dragoncast. My name is Brian Daniels, and on this episode, we're not going to have Victor Salazar, my co-host, because he has some personal issues that he's dealing with right now, and we want to wish Victor best of luck on that stuff. And, by the way, this past Saturday was his birthday, so we wish him a happy birthday as well. I totally forgot. I know it sounds bad, but I forgot him and I have a May birthday, because mine's coming up this week. And so happy birthday, Victor. I hope all is well with you, and hopefully we'll have you back on our next episode. But tonight, we have a new co-host. That's someone that's stepping in, that's decided to step in and help me host this show tonight, and that is my wife. That's right. Somebody married me. And for those who don't know, you probably were like, well, weren't you already married anyway? Because you had mentioned before, one of the previous episodes you did, that you were married. Well, I got a divorce since then. It has been 5 years ago since I've done the show. I know Victor had a really hard time kind of believing that when we did our show with Paul last week. But that's right. Yeah, so I got divorced back in 2017. And I met Raven, that is my co-host and my partner, my real partner. And her and I met back in 2018, in like January. It's been crazy that it's been that long. Yeah. It's been 2 years. It's been over 2 years ago since we met, and we met on Tinder.
Yeah, but you didn't get divorced in 2017. You got divorced in 2016.
I got divorced in 2017. I got divorced in March 2017. We separated. That was when
it was final.
We separated. Okay. Yeah, we separated. We separated in 2016.
There you go.
We got divorced in 2017.
Okay.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So her and I got married back in September, and we started dating in like May of 2018.
April 30th.
Or April, yeah. And and we've had our share of ups and downs. It's been a journey,
to say the least.
It's been a journey, but here we are. And she is she's the love of my life, and she has definitely supported me throughout my career, what I do. And I wanted to have her on. I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Because like, Victor couldn't do the show today, and I was like, man, I gotta have somebody as my co-host. So I figured I could ask her, and because I can count on you, for things.
Absolutely.
And I know you and I talked about doing some stuff before, and so we're gonna get to know you.
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna kind of. It's gonna be funny because I'm gonna interview my wife.
Oh,
this is really weird, and we're gonna ask you some questions, get to know you, that the people get to know who you are. And so just let's just start right off. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Okay. You're from here, right?
Yeah.
Well, not here. Like,
no.
Where are you from?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Did you love living there?
No.
Why did you not like living in Indianapolis?
I don't
Tell
know.
the people what. Okay. Tell the people why you didn't like living in Indianapolis.
Which time? I mean, like, I was born and raised, so it wasn't something that, I don't know. I never felt like I belonged there. Like, even as a kid. Like, I always just thought of living somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I just never felt like it was home.
Okay. I get that. I
have the travel bug, I have wanderlust. Like, again, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to travel and be an adventurer and, go out and see the world and experience different cultures and states and areas and things like that. But, even that being said, it wasn't just the travel bug. I just never felt like Indianapolis was where I belonged.
It's funny you mentioned that because excuse me, I've always felt that same way. I've always felt like, part of me always felt like I was adopted. Even though I know I wasn't. I love my mom,
Yeah.
It's kind of like you and I have a lot in common in that, like with the family and stuff like that. And yeah, I get it. I think I've always tried to make Indianapolis more than what it was.
Same.
Like I always tried to, and it isn't. And I don't know how about you folks at home, but you get that, you feel that way even more when you travel. Mm-hmm. You and I have talked, about this. They might not, but when I actually did do a couple episodes while I was on the road of this show.
Yeah.
I did some from, I think I did one from Manhattan, and then I did one from Utica, like upstate New York. And I was looking at this the other night, and And yeah, I mean, I've always wanted more than just living in Indianapolis. I didn't want Indianapolis to be my forever home.
Right.
And the thing about Indiana is it's kind of a statistic. Maybe not a very well-known statistic, but a lot of people that are born in this state don't ever leave this state. It's a weird thing because this state is more of a family-bred state.
It really is.
You know, people don't want that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is when it comes to living in this? Like, what is it about this state that keeps people here?
Well, and I'm not exactly sure if it's just Indiana or if it's Midwest in general, because there are a lot of people that I know that live in other states in the Midwest who have never even traveled outside of the state, or if they do, it's to visit other friends or family. And you know, my previous boss, when I DJ'd, he was from Minnesota. He wound up moving back. I mean, like, they either stay in the Midwest or they wind up moving back. It's really weird, at least from my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the people who actually move to Indiana are either for family or work. Like, nobody wants to know. I mean, like, I can't imagine anybody just wake up one morning and be like, gee, I want to move to Indiana. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just not.
Yeah. I think the people that do move to Indiana, because I had a friend of mine I told you about when I worked at Geico, who he lived in Long Island, and he moved to Indiana, and the only reason why is because, you know, it's cost effective, because, you know, living in New York City is very not cost effective. It's very expensive to live in New York City, and if you've ever been to New York City, you know the cost of things are very expensive there. I stayed in New York for about a month or two, I think about 2 months, and I didn't like live there. I didn't own property, or I didn't like rent out an apartment. I lived in a hotel, but we had to buy things. But thankfully, nothing was like out of my pocket. It was like business cover, because I did the trip was for business. But it was it was, you know, I still had to go into the stores and see how much things were. And, you know, I used to smoke back then. I used to be a smoker, and I had kind of like I was in that phase, like I was quitting, but I was like, yeah, I'm not really quitting, because I'm still having like a cigarette here and there. And a carton of cigarettes there is like $112.
Where?
This is in Manhattan.
Good God.
At the time. Now it might be more, but that was for a carton of Marlboro cigarettes. Like, you know, so you're paying over $100, because that's the high end cigarette. So you can imagine like the other ones, you know, like Camel and that, a little bit cheaper, are still over $100 for a carton of cigarettes. And I think a pack of cigarettes is probably like $7-8. At the time it was anyway, so it's very expensive to live there. But yeah, that's our dog. That's our dog Willow, by the way. That's okay. But the thing is that you know, yeah, I get the whole travel. Like I've and you know, I've always felt like Indy was never really my home. And when I went on the road for the 2 or 3 months I was traveling, I kind of got like confirmation of that. The more I was away, the less I missed it. You know, I didn't really like. It felt good to be home in the sense of like, oh my God, I'm not like in a hotel every night, right? But it didn't feel good in the sense of, oh, it feels good to be home,
right?
Do you get what I mean? Because you know,
I never got. I want to say never. When I went to Latvia, I did feel homesick, but I was also in a completely different country where I didn't speak the language, and didn't know virtually where I was, you know, for almost a month, literally 3.5 weeks. So yeah, after a little while you get to feel homesick, but I don't necessarily think it was homesick for Indiana as much as it was like familiarity with the country. You know, the U.S., like things that you tend to take for granted. Yeah. Now, when I've traveled outside of the state, I've never really felt homesick a whole lot. Yeah.
So we are an entertainment podcast. We have to talk a lot about that. Okay. I want to ask you, what are some of your favorite forms of entertainment that you've been involved in?
That I've been involved
in? Like, what are some things? What are some, or let's put it this way, what are your favorite forms of entertainment? Like TV, movies, books. What are some things you really get into?
Concerts.
That entertain you.
Music. Oh my gosh, yes. I was a wedding DJ and day of coordinator for 4.5 years. Professionally for 4.5 years. Music has literally been a part of my life since I was a baby. Since before I was born. I was actually named after a song. So, music.
What song?
The Raven.
By who?
Alan Parsons Project. So
Cool.
Alan Parsons
Cool.
Project did an entire album in the late 70s based on Edgar Allan Poe's works.
Yep.
And The Raven was one of them.
That's kind of cool.
And so that's my namesake. But
Nice.
music and concerts, definitely. I was going to say, I mean, like, I typically would enjoy reading. I haven't really been able to focus on it a whole lot lately. But
Yeah.
reading, writing, those used to be my go-tos.
Yeah.
But
Now, since you've been with me, you've gotten to do a lot of adventuring. We'll put it that way. We've done our fair share of traveling, but not like
micro
far. We go on like day trips.
Yeah.
You know, we've been to Chicago. We did that whole travel vlog. It was really cool. Travel vlog thing. For those who don't know, there's a travel vlog on our YouTube channel that was sponsored by our bus. They paid for that and for the trip there. That was fun. But I want to talk about the convention scene.
Okay.
You know, you've been going with me to conventions. You've been to a lot of them with me.
This is I want to touch back on the like what my forms of entertainment or whatever.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
And you mentioned bus because people who know me from like when I would go to concerts and everything would know that I would bus stalk. So stalking or meeting, I don't want to necessarily say stalking, but meeting famous people is actually part of what I am known for in my circle of friends. So that's a little bit of my repertoire. So
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Mentioning conventions.
We'll talk
no,
about
not just them. I mean,
New Kids on the Block. She's a big New Kids on the Block. Big New Kids on the
New
Block.
Kids on the Block.
Yeah. She's like you met them all like a million times.
Yeah.
She's been to like 3 different cruises.
Yeah.
Worn their clothes. No, I'm just playing. But like, or maybe I don't know. Never asked that.
I would still be wearing the clothing if that were the case. I would. Yeah.
But I want to talk about conventions because you and I I've pulled you into my world.
Yes, and I love it.
And you say you really enjoy it. I can tell you do. But before you met me, did you ever go to a convention before? Had you been to like a convention like those before? Like on the scale of like Gen Con or Okay.
No, not at all.
You've never been to anything like that?
I think I went to like a comic book convention once.
Do you remember where it was?
Like at one of the hotels. Like it wasn't anything.
It was like a
huge.
hotel.
Yeah.
So kind of like the Hoosier Con, like at Indy, like the Wyndham West Hotel, like the airport hotels.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. See, I always thought the hotel cons were really weird because like
definitely have a different vibe.
To me it's like when I think of a convention, I think of like at a convention center, you know, like Galaxy Con, you know, or things like that, or Wizard World. God, Wizard World.
Yeah, that was.
We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to
we don't have to talk about that.
No, we'll talk about that. That's a story we have to share.
I was thinking about that yesterday.
But conventions. So what was the first one you went with me? Was that Days of the Dead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Days of the Dead
2018.
Yeah.
So Days of the Dead is a horror convention.
Yeah.
And people think that when you think of a horror convention, you think of a horror movie. It's not horror movie. It's horror like everything and then some. Mm-hmm. And
serial killers.
And while that
paranormal,
was and while that was your first convention with me, that was my first horror convention like ever.
And that was right up my alley.
You know, and I didn't know what to expect because, you know, for the most part, when I review cons, I've gone to, you know, predominantly nerdy conventions or gaming cons, like, you know, Gen Con being the biggest. Tabletop role playing. I know, right? And you know, things like that. So when you went to Days of the Dead, what did you think about that? Like, what were some things that right off the bat, like, made you happy about when you were there? Like that you experienced.
So it's gonna probably be more memorable to me than a lot of the other cons. In a lot of ways, simply because it was my first convention, and also like it was right up my alley. So, I mean, it was probably the perfect convention for me to start at.
Okay.
Of course, I love the fact that they had vendor tables and celebrity tables like all together. Like, it was a really nice, just mixed atmosphere of everybody belongs. It wasn't, you know, segregated or separated in any kind of fashion, like elitist fashion, like we're too good to be out here with the public, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was my first and biggest takeaway, I think, of it. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. So
you liked how accepting people were.
And horror genre in general, the community is very accepting.
Do you think it gets a bad reputation from outsiders, people who are not like?
I don't know. I don't know, because I haven't really talked to too many people outside of that. Yeah. About it, you know what I mean?
I know it gets kind of. I have, and I know it gets like the same reputation as people who have tattoos.
I think people associate horror automatically with gore.
Okay.
And of course it's not. I mean, like, of course, Saw, you know, or something that is gory, that, you know, it can.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Old Friday the 13th movies and things like that can be gore, but it's horror, like you had mentioned earlier, is so much more than like just horror movies. And so much more than gore. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it does have a stereotype.
Yeah, I think it does, because it kind of has that same stereotype in the sense of like people with tattoos, and they assume like a person all tatted up is like a bad person, and they're a murderer, and they're going to kill you. There are people.
I don't think people think that way anymore very much.
There are some that still do feel that way. They're a lot of older people that feel that way. But I don't think it doesn't get that extreme anymore.
I don't know there are people met somebody
that there are
like that.
But there are people that kind of see that same way as like, oh, it's kind of like emo, like the emo thing, you know, back in the day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a good convention for your first convention. Now let me ask you this: what other conventions did you really enjoy that we've been to so far, besides that one?
Was it Horror Hound?
Is that the one we went to last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one that I'm thinking of? You know,
where we met all those Scream people?
Was that Horror Hound?
That was at Horror Hound.
Oh my god, that was by far the best one ever.
So you really like the horror conventions? Like,
I do. And again, it's not necessarily because of... I guess I didn't even realize how much was considered horror until I went. Like, because there's so many different branches of it. Just like there's so many different branches of, like, rock music or pop music. You know, there's so many subgenres. Yeah. And so, like, again, paranormal, like UFOs, like, I mean, Scream. I guess Scream was considered a horror movie, but it was such a campy, like...
It's like a niche movie.
Fun. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a very niche movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So...
Like, there's some people that appreciate that movie, and then some that's, like, they see that as a... Because when Scream first came out, I thought that was, like, a trope-type movie. Mm-hmm. Where you have, like, a final girl.
But it was, in a way, because they were making fun of all of the other scary movies that were out there.
But that's the irony of it, was it came off as that. Mm-hmm. You know, especially when you have Matthew Lillard in there. Comedy. You know what I mean?
Jamie Kennedy.
Both of them. You know, you have Jamie Kennedy, you have Matthew Lillard. Then you had... what's his name? We met him too. I'm just drawing
David Arquette.
David Arquette. I mean, these guys are like kind of comedy, like a comedic bit of cast put in this movie. Yeah. And then it ended up spawning like a cult like following.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
You know, they did like 4 of them. I don't know if you ever saw the 4th one.
I didn't.
It was not that great, but it brought them all back. Yeah. Like, I don't think except for Matthew Lillard, but
or Drew Barrymore.
But. You always forget. You know, I always forget that she's in that movie, and that she's like the first person in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but and then it's funny because you go and you expect this parody, if you will, of like a horror movie. Mm-hmm. You know, here's the things you shouldn't do. You know, like
that's what made it so classic.
But then you're like, wait, this is like not a parody. This is actually like this is for real. It's a fake. It's like a faux parody movie. But it's not really fake.
I think another thing that made Scream the way it was too, that everybody in one sense or another could relate to it. It wasn't. If you watch Scream now, it's kind of like how Clueless is the epitome of like 90s LA or whatever. Like, that is the epitome of that.
Oh yeah,
you watch
absolutely.
that movie and you get an idea of how it was.
Yeah.
That's the way it was with Scream. Like, they it was so realistic in the sense of that is how teenagers were.
Right.
You know, and I think so many people could relate on such a level.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're talking about conventions.
Yeah, we've
been to, I know, it's fine. It happens on the show. We do it. Victor and I do this all the time.
You and I do this all the time.
That's our life. Yeah. Yes. But talking about conventions, as everybody knows, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
It's a plague.
And
I'm going to refer to it as a plague.
And we're in a pandemic, and that I'm not allowed to say the word. I can't say why. I can't say the actual name of it. I know. I can't say the actual name of it, which I think is kind of dumb because it gets like taken down on YouTube.
But why is that? Why are there regulations?
I don't know. I would like to know why we're not allowed to say that. Because like I'm not gonna say it. I mean, we all know it's like one of those things you want to say, but like you can't, but you want to. It's the C word. But you're not allowed to say it because you get like demonetized and all that. And, I mean, it is what it is. You can say Spanish flu, but you can't say.
I thought you were going to say Spanish fly. I'm like,
the
dude,
other,
that's totally not the same
other thing. You can't say that. But we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. Everything's slowly opening back up. Mm-hmm. The convention scene is kind of dead right now. There really is no conventions.
There's no kind of about it. Yeah.
Gen Con has yet to state that they're going to cancel.
Right.
I actually just saw a press release today from them, actually like a little bit ago before we started, saying that they are working as best as they can to find means of social distancing, which I think is really funny because when you have 30,000 people at a convention, you're not going to social distance. I mean, you and I have been to the grocery store enough times to know that people don't even do it anyway. But here's the deal.
People bitch. Oh, sorry.
You can. That's fine.
People gripe enough about the fact that there's no room because people have a backpack on. This was something that you and I discussed at length last year after Gen Con, is because people don't have any sense of personal space. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the backpacks wouldn't be that big of a deal to you if you would just maintain personal space.
I think the problem is always...
I'm talking like 3 feet. So now they're talking about social distancing 6 feet with all of those people. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, the rumor is going around that they're gonna make Gen Con a citywide event this year. That they're not gonna do it. That this is a rumor. This is a rumor. I can't say this is unfortunate. This is a rumor I just read.
I'm just trying to grab.
They're gonna make Gen Con a citywide event because they kind of did this thing last year where. Do you remember about that? Like the whole Gen Con at home thing, or that thing they did where like they had different gaming shops the weekend of Gen Con. Like, if you couldn't make the trip to Indy, you could do, like, a little Gen Con at your local gaming shop, and they'd have little events for Gen Con, and they gave out, like, dice, Gen Con dice at different stores. Like, different stores all throughout Indiana partnered up with Gen Con to give out the dice and some of the things from the coupon book. They did that last year. Okay. That was, like, the first time they did it. So now...
we went to 16-bit in order to drink and got the dice.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
So now, they're considering, the rumor has it, that they're considering making... this year's Gen Con a citywide... I gotta put her down. They're considering making this year's Gen Con a citywide event, and the majority of it at the convention center. So I think that's a really bad idea, considering now you're saying, oh, let's have everyone go throughout the city, versus one contained area.
I see where you're going.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, I think that's kind of a weird.
And that's so funny because this is kind of how you and I have looked at this entire plague. That I'm telling you, I'm going to refer to it as a plague. Is that I see where you're going with that, but that didn't even occur to me. Yeah. I was looking at it as a good thing from a business standpoint.
I can see that, but you really see where I'm coming from. Like, it's because the whole point is we're not supposed to encourage people to do that right now. However, there's a deal that it's in August.
I was going to say right now, yes, but you've got to think. People are traveling from all over the world to come to Gen Con, so is it really that contained in the first place? No.
So, I'm going to flat out I'm just gonna flat ask you: do you think they should cancel Gen Con?
I do not think that I can give an appropriate answer as to yes or no because I haven't looked into it all that much, to be honest with you.
You don't, so you can't give a.
I haven't informed myself enough to make a valid decision on yes or no at this point.
Okay. Why is that? Like, what would you need to make a decision?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know what kind of information I would look at right now.
Okay. So, you probably already know what my answer is going to be.
Yeah, you think they should cancel it?
I think they should cancel all of them. I think they should cancel them all.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Like, I have friends that run cons. One of which is going to be on this podcast in the future, and I'm sure him and I are going to talk about this same scenario. Yeah. But then again, when that happens, it's going to things might be different. But the thing is, I feel like they should cancel them anyway because of the fact that it's just like we shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I get it from a business standpoint. Here's the deal, like, because in the city of Indianapolis, that's like their gold mine is Gen Con,
right? And
having this convention is like that really is their. I think that's like their biggest draw of the year is where they make the most money. And I get they need to have it, but it's a fine balance of like, okay, is it really worth having this con and taking this big of a risk? Because when like you said, when you've got people flying in from all over the country, I mean, we get people from Italy coming into this thing, Germany, France,
UK.
The UK, all that, Canada, coming in one location. I would be afraid this could spark a whole nother thing because of that if they decided to have it. And how are you going to social distance things? So my problem is like people can't even social distance at Walmart or Meijer
or Ben's Bargain Center
or the bargain center down the street. Horrible. They can't even do it there. Who's to say they're going to do it at a 30,000 plus convention in a major city like Indianapolis?
I mean, it does make sense to cancel big things like that. Because, I mean, like concerts, I don't know that they're going to even have any concerts this
They
year.
canceled the Olympics.
I know.
I mean...
well, that's a little bit on a grander scale, but...
But you get what I mean. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, it would make more sense, at least from my perspective at the moment. Again, I haven't researched or anything a ton.
Sure.
It would make sense to me to cancel all of those types of things this year and focus on reopening and getting business back up locally.
Yeah.
Because I think the local impact, and not just with us or Indianapolis or anything, I think the local impact it's going to have is going to be the worst. People talk about how such a global impact the economy is what's going to suffer the most.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we had E3 get canceled. One of the biggest, I can't say the single biggest. I'll say this, the most anticipated video game conference event of the year got canceled. The NBA season. We got NBA. We don't know if NBA is going to happen. I mean, it's, but we're going to have cons. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense to have.
I see that.
But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on that. So, like I said, we've done a lot of traveling to conventions. And let's talk about Wizard World.
Okay.
I know you love talking about Wizard World.
I don't like talking about Wizard World.
So, Wizard World, for those who don't know, Wizard World is a very popular national convention. They're a big corporate. They're probably the biggest corporate convention entity in the United States. But not as big as the San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest convention in the United States. And they're in multiple cities, like in New York, Chicago. They had one in Indianapolis, and the Indianapolis people were like, we don't want you back.
I mean...
Because that is the one good thing about Indy.
I was going to say props to Indy for that.
They have a very strong convention scene in Indy, and they know what they want.
Yeah.
And they did not want Wizard World, rightfully so. So you had no idea about them.
Thanks for that.
And I kind of did. No, because what we do
to get my unbiased
opinion. Because what we
experience, and also, I mean, you don't want to.
I didn't want you going in there like looking for that stuff.
Right.
I wanted
exactly.
I wanted trouble to find.
Plus, you were really hoping it would have changed.
Yeah. So I've been to Wizard World 3 times now. Actually, 4. I've been to Chicago 3 times, and I've been to the Indy once, and all disappointing. Like, and I would say disappointing like in increments. Like they've been. Like, the first Wizard World I went to was, and then just kept getting worse and worse. You know what I mean? It was starting to be like a little slippery slope of like, okay, there's just no hope. And I don't think I'll ever go back to Wizard World again. I keep saying that. I said that last time. I was like, I'm never coming back to this.
I will not go back.
And now I just don't know why I keep going. I just do it to myself. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I like going to bad cons just to appreciate the better ones.
You're going to be on your own if you go to that one.
But, we went to Wizard World, Chicago last year. And no, it was 2 years ago. And, it was 2 years ago, 2018. We didn't go in 2019.
Shit.
And that was the same weekend that I did Horror Hounds. I did 2 in the same weekend, which I'll never do that again.
Yeah, and I didn't get to go to that Horror Hound.
And I bet you wish you had instead of...
Absolutely. I was really disappointed.
So Wizard World is notorious for only caring about making money. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with making money. There's something when it's done in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. But when you're putting profits over the experience, I'll say that's a bad thing.
Or your experiences are based on a profit.
Yeah. So we first got there and we went to the VR thing. You like that? Mm-hmm. That was cool.
That was fun.
Then we did the
Spider-Man VR. That was cool.
Then we did the exhibit hall, whatever it's called. The dealer floor, all the books and the stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. And looked at all the vendors. The vendors.
Okay, there you go. I was like,
we visited the vendors. Sorry, we visited the vendors, and then there was a guy you wanted to meet. What was his name? Vampire guy.
I don't want to talk about this.
You wanted to meet him.
I don't want to name drop though.
And you met this guy. You wanted to meet this guy. We won't say who it was. He was from a very well. I already said that, but he was at the show, and you have been wanting to meet him for a long, long time.
But see, here's the thing, though. I think the way you're telling the story kind of puts about precedence because, especially when I've already said I was like, kind of like, oh yeah, I meet all these famous people, whatever. Yes, I did want to meet him, but based on my other experiences at other conventions, this is more of a bad convention story than it is the fact that I didn't get to meet him.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want. Yeah, no. This is not a personal thing. Okay. This is in regards to that convention as a whole.
Yeah.
Like this is just a chunk of, this is still Wizard World though.
Yeah.
Like this is because that guy, and that's why we're not going to say who he is, because it's not his fault. You don't fault him,
no,
right?
Not at all.
Right. So that's what I'm getting into. That's where I'm going with this. It's not about we're going to bash this person because it was the people in charge, which is Wizard World.
And not that I think anybody listening to this is going to care one way or the other, but
oh no, trust me. So it's like so you waited a long time. How long did you wait?
It wasn't even the fact that it wasn't the waiting. So what had happened was I have been told several times, you've been told several times that we, no, when we ask to meet somebody or, hey, can we talk to this person?
But you waited a while. Hi. But you waited a long while, right?
Yes, but...
Right.
Yeah, I waited a while, but it was the fact that the expectation was already set that I was going to meet him. It wasn't that I just went in there expecting that on my own, like, oh, hey, I'm with the press, I'm going to go meet this guy. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
I had 3 separate people, one of them a volunteer, 2 people actually work with Wizard World staff, not only tell me, yes, you can meet him, and I even made it clear, I don't want to get an autograph, I don't want to talk, I just want to say hello, just want to say thank you, whatever. And, they directed me over to where I needed to stand, which line I needed to stand in, and everything like that. I waited for 2.5 hours to get up to the actual table for one of his handlers to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that.
And you were told 3 different times you were going to be able to meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it wasn't even just like a yes, you can. Like they took me over, walked me over to where I would need to stand, the line, specific line I would be standing in, how the process was going to go. Like,
and you confirmed with a staff member.
Absolutely.
Multiple times, like, hey, you're not going to make, because I know it's not about the length of the time. I mean,
oh no, I didn't care about that.
Right, because going into it, you're probably going to have, everybody knows going to con, you're going to have to wait to see someone that you really want to see. That's just a given.
Yeah.
But you but it also is about your time, because you don't want your time to be wasted.
And I don't want their time to be
wasted
either.
And you could have met someone else.
For them than that.
Right, because the general consensus is, and I kind of got into it with some people with fans of the Wizard World, whatever.
Which is another thing I want to talk about.
The general consensus has always been at every con I've ever been to, and I've been going to conventions for over 10 years, like we'll say 15.
And you went to 13 in that 1 year.
And that when you approach a celebrity or you approach a guest, it's like they don't care. Now, some of them? Now, I will tell you this: there has been celebrities that they're not going to come right and say, "What, you ain't gonna buy any of my stuff?" Like, they're not going to come out and get mad, but they will give you a cold shoulder. You will feel a presence of,
I have experienced
you don't want to buy something from me.
I have experienced
which I think is a poor attitude for a celebrity to have, or any guest for that matter, who you have fans and not all of them can pay the outrageous prices of an autograph, which some of them are. But the thing is that the general consensus among the convention scene is it's always okay to go up and talk to someone. Or say hello. It's harmless, and then there was some people that were saying, "Oh, well, you're taking up my time that I'm paying to get with them." Who cares? I mean, we're all in this together. We're all here to, it should be a united front of, hey, we're just here to enjoy this personally. Because what other time are you ever really going to have an opportunity, to meet someone, fist bump them, or shake their hand, or at least. Because for people like maybe you, that's all you ever want.
That is
to thank them for what they've done for you, whatever they did
why it was
for
so
you,
important for
and that's priceless.
Yeah,
that is worth
why
more
I
than
was
anything
willing
else.
To stand 2.5 hours in line,
right?
But that was also why I wanted to make sure before I did that. Because again, it is about, I know how conventions work. I know how, okay.
You had been to a few before then, I think.
Well, yeah, that wasn't my first one. But I mean, like, even taking back to my experience with New Kids, okay. I mean, we do meet and greet, I've done several meet and greets with New Kids on the Block, okay. Like, they will take you, it is a very, okay, you go in there, you get your picture with them, you say hi, security's ushering you out the door. I get it. I know how it works. That's why I was very clear and very specific before I stood in line.
Like, hey, can I just say hi to them?
Yeah.
They knew your intentions three different occasions.
Did know my intentions.
Now, was it the same person that you asked every time, or was it like a different person?
There were two different. Okay, so there were 3 different people, but I had multiple interactions with one specific person.
And they were like placed in sections of the line?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yes.
I just, Yeah. So you had got Now, did these people ever?
One was volunteer, so I didn't put much stock in that because volunteer.
But the others were actual staff.
The 2 other people were actual
they had
staff
a badge
members.
Yeah,
staff. They were staff.
Did at any point did any of them say, "I'm not sure," or "Hey, let me just double check"?
Yes.
Did they?
Yes.
Did they go
before she even brought me? Like when she walked me over and had me stand in line.
Yeah.
She took me over there and had me stand in line, and then she went to check where I would be standing and how the line was going to.
Now, when you mean now, make it clear for the people listening here. When you mean walked me over to the line, that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
There was another place you had to wait before you got into the actual line. Because you said they had to walk you over to the line.
Yeah. So what it is they had it in like much like you would go to a convenience store or a anywhere that has a long line to wait. You have multiple lines that all merge into one line.
Okay.
Okay. So like the drive-thru at McDonald's, how they have
two lines, but they merge
in together.
Yeah.
They had like 5 or 6 different lines. So she actually walked me over to which one I would be standing in.
Okay, and so then that way you knew where you were going.
Yeah.
So when you get to the table, what happened?
I was literally 3 people away from him, and.
Did you get to the table though?
To the table, like I was at the very end.
So
of
for
the
those
table.
who don't know, a lot of times like
it was a long table
at the at conventions. If you've never been to one, first go get your ass out and go to one when things open back up. Go to cons. I don't care which one. Go to a con. When you get to a table, normal typical layout is the guest is on the far right. As you're facing the table, they're usually on the far right. But depending on the line too, they could be on the far left. And when you first approach the table, you'll have like what's called their handler, which is someone that's either a volunteer, like at PopCon. PopCon has volunteers. They don't, they don't really have like staff, like paid staff. They have few paid staff unless you're like higher up, like Carl. But it's almost exclusively It's almost exclusively. It's okay. It's almost exclusively volunteers. And so. But now was this handler? I'm assuming this was like this is like usually the handlers. Usually the handler's the person. Usually the handler is either a member of staff at the con. Hold on, or they're a volunteer, or they are the agent or the person like responsible for the celebrity that like travels with them.
They were with his team.
They were with his team. So was this the person that said no to you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you explain like I had been told like various times before I got here that I was told yes?
Yes and no.
Okay.
First of all, it didn't matter. Second, I mean, like it didn't. Like there wasn't enough time to plead my case or tell my story or, like it wasn't, I did say that I was instructed by staff to wait here, to wait in line.
Yeah.
And she flat out said it didn't matter. Like those were her words. It doesn't matter.
Did somebody have to like kind of usher you out, or did you just?
No, I just walked. I just got out of the line to the left and walked.
Wow.
And I did cry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd be upset.
I felt really stupid about that. I felt really stupid for crying because again, I had experienced not meeting people.
It's a person.
Yeah. He's just a person.
He's just like you.
But again, that expectation and the, something that is so personal though to you. At that point, I had stepped out of the whole, like I'm here to get the story kind of thing and stepped into the personal, emotional aspect of it, of why I was meeting him. And to me, that was where I let my emotions get involved. I wasn't working at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I felt really stupid for getting so emotional about it. I didn't like sob or anything like that, but I mean, I did stand over there, off to the side and cry. And
now that wasn't the only thing that happened.
Oh my gosh.
There was a multiple, like the security incident. That wasn't Wizard World's fault. I don't fault them. Well,
it was Wizard World security.
Oh yeah, I do fault them for that. We'll talk about that in a second.
It wasn't convention security.
I have had that happen to me. I've not had to wait. It doesn't matter, like because either way, I mean, it does matter in the sense that like, okay, what could I have been doing?
Well, and that's the thing. It was just all handled so poorly. And had this been an isolated incident of the convention, I probably would have just chalked it up as a personal experience and moved on.
Yeah.
But
you would have took the L and just
took the loss and just go. Because like I said, I've been told no plenty of times.
You're gonna get told no.
Yeah,
like trust me, doing what I do.
You get told no.
I get told no about 45% of the time.
Yeah,
I really do. I get less than half.
Yeah. But had that, like I said, been an isolated incident at the convention, I probably would have just chalked it up and moved on.
But see, it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
Yeah. So they had that year they had the Boy Meets World guys there. Yeah. Or people there. And
which I didn't even go to their area.
So you were waiting in line to see that guy.
Yeah.
And I was with James. James is our mutual friend that goes with us to conventions and stuff. He helps out with pictures and stuff like that. And I said, hey, let's go meet Topanga. Let's go meet, Daniel Fisher and then what was his name? Corey's brother, his older brother, Sean. No, not Sean. Sean was his friend. I think it was Sean.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're talking character names. I was
character
confused
names,
for a
yes.
second because I was just like, wait.
Yes, character names. We're not going Ben Savage.
Yeah, that's what I was like. When you
Ben
said
Savage was
brother,
there.
I was
Ben
thinking
Savage
Fred
was
Savage
there.
brother,
Ben Savage was there.
Yeah.
But his character brother Corey,
Will
was there.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, let's go meet them, And so we go up, and we kind of got stopped by a staff member. Was like, so how many, are you getting an autograph? Are you getting a selfie, photo, whatever? I said, no, we just, we're here for media purposes. We're here with press, which we got press badges, which some places don't do that. And we got up there, and she's like, I said, well, we're here with media, and we just want we don't want an interview, because I don't do that. I started to do that when I started doing this whole convention stuff, and I learned a little quickly that this doesn't, and it's so funny because I'll get on YouTube and I'll see all these little not that they're lower than us, but it's kind of like they only have 391 views or subscribers. You're like, how did they get an interview with Captain Kirk? Like, how'd you do that? Because that's how I've been told no multiple times. Is I will mention these people, like Jonathan Frakes, the guy who plays Riker in Star Trek. Yeah, he was not a very nice guy to me. I don't know if it's because I was media, because and rightfully so, celebrities deal with the press enough as it is, and they go to these fan things for the fans, and they don't want to. I get that, you don't want to mess with more media, but see, I'm the nice guy. I go up and I'm like, hey, is it okay? I don't do that whole I'm gonna take photos and sneak and be that guy. And I think that's why I keep getting
paparazzi.
I'm not paparazzi. And that's probably the reason why I do get invited back so much, like I have been. It's because I ask. I don't sneak and do that. I don't have I don't wear my press badge on my sleeve and have an expectation of I'm media, damn it. It's my damn right to.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. I have an American sense of right to freedom of the press. I don't do that. It's stupid, because I want to maintain these relationships with these, companies or whatever. So when I met Jonathan Frakes, I pulled my phone out and I hit record, which was kind of a shit thing to do.
Yeah.
But
no wonder.
and I said, hey, but I did say, hey, it's okay if I get a few moments of your time. I'd like to record, have a few interview questions. And he goes, are you recording me? And I was like, yeah, I just told you I am. And he goes, no. He kind of got smart aleckly with me, kind of a smart ass. And I was like, okay. And then I said, well, then I just, is it okay if I get a photo? Because I do ask, I'm like, okay if I get a photo of you or with you, you know, because I don't want to seem like I'm trying to make, take all these selfies with people. And he was like, no. He's like, no, get out of here. And I was like, okay, bye. And I was like, okay, but with the Boy Meets World thing, I said, no, we just want to go say hi, and if I can take a picture of or with for a review. I'm writing a review here. I've done this before. I got immediately denied. I couldn't even I literally got stopped right next to the sign.
Yeah.
Where they usually are, and I got told no. I'm like, I said I can't even meet them or say hi. And hold on, she was like, no. I said no. I said, wait. So you mean to? I said, and I was like, so you mean to tell me? First of all, you probably shouldn't say this to someone who's press, because I'm I know I'm not like CNN, or I'm not like all the top. I'm not top, but I'm still media. And
you never know when something's gonna go. That one.
I said, you mean to tell me that I can't.
Jeez,
that I can't just even go up and say hi, I appreciate your work, no.
So this is what I was gonna say. There wasn't anybody in line waiting for them. So it's not like me waiting an hour and a half or 2.5 hours just to say hi. Yeah. There was nobody up there waiting to meet them.
Yeah, but at least they were doing that. Mm-hmm. So they should have done that with you. They should have just said, "Hey, look, here's the rule." Here's my problem with conventions. Is make the rules clear for everyone. It's either an all or nothing, or
I wasn't expecting to be treated any differently.
Or you give the celebrities and their handlers what they want to do. Because, like make those clearly defined. Because I will say this, I don't feel like as a member of the media we get enough that we should when we go.
I agree with that.
You have now experienced that.
Absolutely.
There's certain things we get told we can have and we don't get it. We don't get time with the celebrities like I feel like we should. I'm
going to put a caveat in there.
What's that?
Because I'll tell you what. I didn't realize just how badly, and I don't want to say we were treated badly everywhere or whatever, but I didn't realize just how poorly managed, I'll say, a lot of these conventions or these places treat the media, not just us, but what we've witnessed, in general, until we went to Heartland Film Festival and got the gold treatment.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Heartland Film Festival. We're getting into that. So, once again, we're an entertainment show. We've been talking about conventions. This is Raven, by the way. This is my wife.
Yeah.
And she goes with me to all these things. She helps me, takes pictures, talks to people, gets me the info that I need to know while we're at these places. Yeah. I've kind of pretty much opened the door wide open on letting her into what I love to do.
And it was perfect because I've had all this experience on my own.
Yeah.
With meeting people, so I knew what to look out for and what to do.
And so I've been to a lot of conventions. I've covered a lot of things. And I had the amazing opportunity. It's so funny. I'm going to let people in on this. Like, I do this thing where... and this is how we got into Heartland. I think I told you about this. I forgot. Where I just see someone, I'm like, man, I wonder if I can go to that.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
For people who want to know, like, how do you get to all these conventions? Like, it's real simple. Like, you just challenge yourself. I got invited to SDCC 4 years ago, and I couldn't go because I didn't have plane tickets. Couldn't afford it.
We got
invited
to that one in Utah a couple years ago.
We got invited to FanX in Utah.
I was so mad.
Okay, we didn't even have a way to get there.
Could have met Dick Van Dyke.
Could have got to get there, But, I know sure there's people that have asked me, well, Brian, how did you get into, how do you get to go all these cons and stuff like that? Well, there's, that's a whole other podcast, which we'll get into. I'm going to do a podcast about that. Because I have a guest that's going to be on my show for that. And she's a podcaster as well. We'll talk about that when the time comes. But, I mostly delve into the nerd culture. I mostly delve into conventions, video games, technology. I do a lot of unboxing videos, game videos, streaming on Twitch, Mixer, all that jazz. But I've never really gotten to the movie industry because, like I said, we do entertainment, and that's a very broad variety. And it actually wasn't until last year that I decided to label myself an entertainment journalist, because that's what I see myself. A lot of people think that when you're a journalist, that means you are reporting on the news all the time, and that's not true. You don't have to be. That's a reporter, not a journalist. I'm just a person that talks about stuff, right? So I've had people question me like, "Oh, you don't go and report the news." I'm like, I'm not a news reporter.
See, and I list myself as a reviewer.
I'm not a news reporter.
That's what I am.
So. But anyway, so there's this thing called the Heartland Film Festival that happens. It's been happening for quite a long time in Indianapolis. And it is a movie festival full of independent films, well, a wide variety of genres, which, by the way, they're adding horror this year.
I know.
Did you forget about that?
I did forget about that.
Yeah, the horror genre is... making its debut this fall, if we have one. I hate having to say that now.
I will say though, Heartland is still proceeding as of right now.
Oh, did you look into it?
Well, I follow them on Instagram, so they have been proceeding as if they are going to do it.
Okay, yeah,
because that's not until October.
So, I used to live in a local suburb called Castleton in Indianapolis, right around the time I met my wife. And there is a theater there. It's an AMC theater across the street. And that is where they hold the Heartland Film Festival every year.
Part of it.
Part of it. Okay. Which I didn't even know there was a part of it. That was just a part of it. I thought that was where it was always at. Just the whole thing was there. Well, I was like, I did a live stream.
28 years.
I did a live stream. 28 years it's been around. I did a live stream from there like 3 years ago. And I just kind of walked around. I interviewed some of like the guests and stuff. It was kind of cool. Robert Downey Jr. was there one year. I was so mad because he was right across the street from me when I was living there. I didn't know Iron Man was across the street from me. It makes me so mad to this day. But I had never done film. I had never ventured into film. I don't like reviewing movies so much.
Which is so funny because, just kind of go off a little bit, I am not the movie person in our relationship, and yet I've always wanted to go to the Heartland
Would you
Film
consider
Festival.
me the movie person in the relationship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although, I mean, you have seen more movies than me, but I've seen, like, older movies and stuff. Like, I grew up watching a lot of musicals and things like that. Yeah. But, but I've always wanted to go to Heartland. So when you told me that, I was like,
yeah. So I decided, what the hell? Let me reach out to them. I'll get a hold of their contact. And that's usually how the greatest journeys happen, for me and for us. And we just kind of go on a whim and say, what the hell? Let's do it. So we did it. I heard back. I didn't expect to. The guy was John, right? It was John. John was fantastic.
Amazing guy.
He is a fantastic media handler. He handled all the press and the PR and everything else. The guy was fantastic.
Set up the red carpet
that guy.
perfectly.
I wish I could take that guy and put him in my pocket and go to conventions with him
and tell him
and
say, have him say, "Hey,
help me
this
run.
is how you need to run this."
Tell them how to do this for the media.
Yeah,
and I think that is a big problem because in the convention scene they do claim they have these media reps, but they're really just publicists. There's a difference between being a publicist and a PR person than being the media person. And John was not the publicist.
No.
He was the media person. Like he was the guy that handled the press.
Yeah.
So, but then again, this is the film scene. It's a whole other beast than which I found out than the.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Than
with
the
that.
convention scene.
I agree with that.
It's So anyway, we got to go. I got Raven and I press access, which was pretty dope. I did not expect that at all. I never expect anything when I ask for these things, and we were in. And the best part was we got to go to any movie we wanted to go to. That was pretty dope.
I missed out on quite a bit because of work.
That was cool. Getting to go to whatever movie you want to go to, I felt like a spoiled kid.
Yeah.
Like they give you this like book that is just plumb full of movies.
It's
like
a catalog of all of the movies.
It's a catalog of every movie being shown at Heartland.
And a synopsis.
And a little plot synopsis, and it tells you who some of the celebrities are, etc. And the director, what time it's going to be shown, where it's going to be shown at, because like Raven said, there are different venues, which that was kind of neat, going to different venues and stuff.
Heartland showcases the directors, I think, a lot more than the filmmakers a lot more than the actual actors. But
there was we met a lot of actors.
We did, but I mean, Heartland is for the filmmaker.
But
it was amazing.
But they did a showing of The Mummy because it was The Mummy's anniversary. They had Brendan Fraser was there. I got to meet and interview him, which you can go to our YouTube channel. I got to interview him. That was so cool.
That was amazing.
That was insane.
I got a really cool picture of you interviewing him.
I got to be on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Granted, it was. I'm not gonna downplay it. It was the red carpet.
No,
that was dope.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Legit how red carpets are.
It was really interesting to walk up to an actual spot that had Brian Daniels from Dragon Blogger on it for me.
Yeah, seeing our names.
That
down there
was when
really cool.
it got real, and that's probably when I got real nervous.
Yeah. And
I don't really get nervous. I've been in this business of doing these reviews and going to conventions and traveling and stuff for a long time. And that's when I was like, whoa, I kind of felt like I made it a little bit, like you go into this thing, it's been around for you said over 20 years, and you walk up and then you see the red carpet, and you're like, holy, and then and then you walk up and then John's like, oh, we have you a spot down there. And I was like, I got a spot. What? I got a spot?
Yeah.
And so then I walked down and
and we're trying to play it cool,
God.
like, oh yeah, we totally expected this. And
then
we're looking at each other like, oh my god.
Like, it was really hard to not, fanboy and fangirl out.
Yeah.
And be like, we did that in the car after I was like, oh my god, you believe it?
This is happening.
we got treated like royalty.
Yeah.
And
even though we were on the other side of the red carpet.
Yeah, and Heartland was just amazing. I want to go back and do it right this time. We will. We missed. We were going through a lot of life things, distractions, if you will, that got in the way.
That was when we were living at Hell House.
And Heartland shouldn't have not just been a distraction. It should have been more than that.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was just that. But we met some cool people like Ashton, which Ashton has said he had told me, I cannot confirm that he did state that he'd be on the show, but we'll see
at some point.
But he's working on another thing right now. Jack, talked with him. He's Jack Goldburn. He's on this movie called Filiophobia, which those guys were freaking amazing. The after parties were fun.
That was an after party.
One dude bought you a beer, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, the director.
Yeah.
Of that movie. Yeah. Like, you hitting on my wife? No.
No, he was not.
I know.
He had a partner.
He had a partner, but I will say that you're right. You're absolutely right. It made me really rethink this whole convention thing. Like, man, I go to a thing like Heartland. Yeah, it's been around like almost 30 years. But it really isn't even that big. It's just spread out. Whereas you go to a con and like PopCons, like say PopCons, it's just right there. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There is no real multiple venues.
Again, too, though, I think it's quality over quantity with Heartland. Mm-hmm. Like, they have the experience, and they keep the same people on, and they hire top-notch people. I mean, they have their own press. They have their own. Like, they don't... They are their own entity.
Like, it felt like such an honor to share the same space as, like, the Indianapolis Star.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you were right next to Fox News.
NBC, Fox News.
Yeah.
I mean, I was...
Yeah.
That was cool. That was pretty humbling experience.
Yeah.
To be there. And then, remember when the light fixture fell?
No.
Did you forget about that?
When was this?
When we were going to see, wasn't The Mummy, it was another movie at the art museum. I don't remember what, it wasn't the Miseducation of Bendy. It was a different movie.
Which was amazing, by the way.
That was a great movie.
Also,
David Arquette. Filmed in Broad Ripple.
Yep.
Filmed in my hometown of Indy. No, you don't remember that? There was a light... So...
Oh, it was The Mummy.
Yeah, it was. It was before The Mummy.
Yeah.
There was a light fixture that fell.
See, you weren't very specific, and I was thinking it was at the red carpet, and I'm like, what? No,
it was in the
theater.
That's what I meant, yeah. Light fixture fell, almost hit somebody.
Yeah, that was...
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That was a little fun.
But we've been on a lot of adventures. The adventures of R&B. We've had a lot of good times on the road, you know.
Another experience too that kind of, and again, branching out into the entertainment genre as opposed to just the con scene. Let's talk about your... I know we're getting kind of long, but talk about your first. I think it was your first outside experience of a con as far as like general entertainment.
I'm talking about.
We went to the comedy club downtown, Helium.
Yes.
That was a great experience.
So like I said, I've mostly been going to, so there for a long time. So when you do what I do, you kind of evolve, right? You don't want to. I've always been a person that's like, I don't want to just do this. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the video game review guy. Although I wanted to be the video game review guy.
Well, you did when you
for
started.
Like a long time,
and that's what.
And when I started, I was doing what I'm doing now is how I got started. Mm-hmm. Podcasting was like the gateway drug into everything else, right? Because I had my buddy tell me, hey, you should do video game reviews, and the rest is history. But I've always been a believer in, like, I don't want to be stuck on just doing one thing. I like to be a man of many hats, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to do too much, though, to kind of fill my plate.
Yeah.
So, because after the 2018 we had of doing 13 cons.
And I probably went to 10 of those.
Oh, and you went to like 10.
Or 8.
You went to Gen Con. You went to your first Gen Con. That was something else. I was like, I want to expand my horizons. I want to try to do other things. And there for a while, like, remember we were supposed to do the thing in Louisville, the haunted light thing, the pumpkin thing. We didn't get to go to that. I was getting like asking to do these like the Lantern Festival. We didn't get to do that either.
Yeah, because of either like no
just
car
stupid
or
things.
hell. Yeah,
just stupid things happening in our life that last year was a rough year for us.
Yeah,
which I won't get into.
No,
but that was when I was like, let me open up. I don't want to be just like journalist or writer. I already am doing video games. Why don't I expand my horizons and do all kinds of stuff and open myself up to other forms of entertainment? Because here at Dragon Blogger, that's what we are. We're a technology and entertainment-based site, YouTube channel, whatever. And I've always been into other things like movies, all that kind of stuff. So, I had seen on Facebook that Jason Mewes was going to be in town. I've met him before. I met him at Awesome Con, at a con, and he was going to be at this brand new comedy club that opened up downtown called Helium Comedy Club. And I was like, man, I'd love to go see that. It'd be kind of fun, because you like Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh my gosh!
And
I've been watching them since I was like 18.
19. And he just had a daughter a few years ago, and it'd be kind of interesting to see how. It was called Amusing Stories, I think is what it was called, with Jason Mewes. And I was like, I'd love to go to that.
But
it was a musing.
It was something like that. Yeah.
So we, I'm like, let me contact them. It'd be kind of dope to write a review about a comedy club, a brand new comedy club, and to do a review of the show for Jay. So I reached out. And I forget the name of the lady. I'm so sorry, but I said, hey, my name Diana. Diane thing. Yeah, Diane. And I said, hey, I'm Brian Daniels, and I
you were
review.
Right. Jay Mewes and his amusing stories.
See, I forget. And so I said, hey, I would love to cover your club. I want to go and take a tour. I'd love to be shown around. I would love to also review not only your club, which is brand new downtown, literally downtown in Indy. I don't think Indy had a downtown comedy club since Crackers, and I think they had closed several years ago. So I said, I not only want to review your club, but I also want to review Jay Mewes' show. I've met him before. I've interviewed him before. I think it'd be kind of amazing to go and just kind of get the whole experience, right? And like I said, guys, I don't expect to get in doing this. I just kind of wait and see approach, right? So she emailed me back the next day. She's like, that'd be great. We'd love to have you. Is anybody else going to be attending with you? I was like, well, yeah, my wife works with me on stuff, and it kind of helps me take photos, since that'd be kind of cool if she could come too. And she's like, yeah, not a problem. We'll have 2 tickets waiting for you. Well, what we got after that was totally unexpected. So Raven and I go, and we get in and we meet the manager, the main manager. I forgot his name. I do forget his name, but he showed us. I don't want to try to even say it.
Tom or something like that.
He showed us this wall of all these famous tweets from all these famous celebrities. Remember that?
That was fun. Yeah.
That was cool. And then he took us upstairs and showed us we got to see the skybox where you can pay to overlook the stage and then
he didn't take us up there. He just said we could go
or go wherever. Yeah. And so it was the bartender that showed us up there, because we told her we were writing.
Yeah, she was really great.
And then
the staff there was awesome.
And then the guy said, "Well, hey, are you ready to go meet him?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah," because we knew we were going to get to talk to him. I didn't think it was going to happen.
That was like what, a 15-minute?
Because how many times do we get told we're going to have time? We're going to get an interview. Yeah. I have been told multiple times by multiple conventions. You all are guilty of this. There's not a single one that's not. Oh, you're going to get time with this person. Yeah, we'll go meet in the press room and we'll give you 5 minutes. So when I get told nowadays that I'm going to get time with a celebrity, I'm just like, yeah, right. Because I never expect it, and I think it's a joke anyway because I never get it. So sure enough, he comes and gets us during the opening set. Mm-hmm. And we go back there, and people are like, who are those people?
In his, it's not really a dressing room, but in the green room.
Yeah. In the green room. And he's eating like Cheetos or whatever, just chilling on the couch. Say, hey, what's up, guys? And just got to talk to him.
Talked about his sobriety and
about his sobriety, his daughter, the reboot, which we still haven't seen. We need to watch. You know, things like that.
It was really cool because they had just finised it up like a few days before.
Yeah.
And so we got to talk about that.
And then,
really cool.
And the cool part was we had dinner, we had a few drinks, and like I said,
we split an appetizer, and
again, we went in cheap because we just, you know, we had to. We had to at that time. Because look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I make all this money doing this. I don't make a ton of money doing what I do. It's just I do it because it's fun. I appreciate it, and I want to make my career out of it, right? So, nothing's ever expected. So we go to pay our bill.
We split an appetizer and we each got a beer.
we go to pay the bill, and the guy goes, "What tab?" I'm like,
"Yeah, we just sat there and we saw him collecting."
I mean, he collected everybody else's tickets because if you haven't been to a comic club, they do that in the dark, right before it's over.
We thought maybe
and he collected everybody, and we're just thinking, had our card out ready to pay, and I said, "Hey, we want to pay our tab." And he goes, "What tab?" And he walks away, and we're like,
"Yeah," he gave us a little smile. That was really.
It's like, okay, that's cool. So,
and we had really great seat.
We had a great seat. They put us right in the middle, in the back row, on the bottom floor, the bottom right in front of the stage. I mean,
and they asked us if it was
seats.
okay.
We had great seats.
They asked if the location.
It was just like when we went to the Star Wars thing. We had great seats. We had awesome seats. Which, by the way, I want to mention. I know that was a great experience. That, I felt that. That was my fault.
Well, I mean, that literally happened right before.
We still had some things going on.
Plague. So
the plague pandemic, the plague-demic.
So plague hit right after that.
That was cool. I mean, here's the deal: if you want to do like what we do, what I do, whatever.
If you want to do what I do, marry into it. No.
You married into something that's not making you any money, but it's always
okay.
But
and I don't do
just honestly,
to support him, so.
Just honestly, stay humble. Don't go in with a big ego. I know where I am on the totem pole, but I don't think any less of myself because of where I am. And a lot of people are like, Kevin Smith. We're talking about Kevin Smith. He wrote a book. It's called "Shit Happens." That's the name of the book, and I'm allowed to say it. And he said something that is very true that stuck with me. He's always been one of my inspirations. Like, he was my inspiration for podcasting. And just being gung ho about doing what you want to do with your life. And so he says in there, and this really stuck with me. When he made Clerks, he only had like a $10,000 some really low budget, right? And he when Clerks was shooting, he was calling himself a director, and his friends were like, "You're not a director. You haven't made a movie. You haven't produced. You haven't put anything out there, And he's like, "Well, F that. I am a director. That's what I am. And I've always been. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that. Like, yeah, I'm a writer. Yeah, I'm a journalist. This is what I do. That is what I am." And he said, "Don't let people tell you what you are. You are what you are, and be that." And that has always touched me. Like, it even gives me chills thinking about that.
See, that's my problem.
And because we live in a world where society defines us, and we let what people tell us that what we are what we are, and that's not what the case is. So if I could give anybody out there listening, whoever listens to this, if anybody, is don't let strangers, don't let your haters, don't let even those who like you, don't let your family, anyone tell you who you are, because what you are is what you are. So what I am is I'm proud to say that I'm a podcaster, I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, and I'm an entertainment journalist. That's the umbrella that I work in. And whether you think so or whoever thinks so, I don't care. It's that "so what" mindset. So what? Like, you gotta have that. He also talks about that too, like having a "so what" mind. Like, so what? Who cares? So that's been hard for me, because for a long, long time I used to always care about what people thought. I really did, and I had to get to the point where I'm like, you know what? Screw those people. They're not the ones doing what I'm doing. I'm the one doing what I'm doing. So, So yeah, so that is all the time I have
We probably ran
on this episode. And thank you guys for listening in. If you like what you listen to, you know what to do. I'm not gonna beg for likes or whatever. If you didn't like this episode, you also know what to do.
If you didn't like this episode, you can blame it on me.
If you didn't like this episode, then thank you for letting me take an hour and 15 minutes of your time to not like what I put out there. You can give us a follow on SoundCloud if you want to. This will also be up on YouTube as well. Thank you all so very much for giving us a listen. And thank you, Raven, for being on the show with me.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. And we'll have you on again sometime in the near future when Victor can't. We'll just pencil you in. And
I'll be more entertaining next time.
Next week we're gonna have a guest on the show. We are supposed to. I'm gonna say supposed to now because I don't want to say for certain.
Yeah.
With a special guest, but we're supposed to have my friend Casey Ross on the show. She is a playwright. And she is the person that wrote a play about the infamous Donkey Kong player. I'm not going to call him a cheater.
No,
because he didn't. Billy Mitchell. She wrote a play called Arcade Fire, and she is supposed to be on the show with us next Monday to talk about her work in plays, which that's always intrigued me. Like, what makes you get into that? But her talking about that, what her plans are for the future. And for her to promote her content. And thank you guys so much for watching, listening to episode 22 of the Dragoncast. Until next time, my name is Brian Daniels, and I'll see you guys later. See ya!